Let's begin. Today's January 8th, 2025, and we're solving the Daily Turing Machine Puzzle. Today's puzzle uses the following 5 criteria cards. Criteria cards 7, 9, 12, 17, and 19. And the puzzle uses the purple verification cards. The code above is your way to get more information on today's puzzle by searching the code on turingmachine.info. Let's go solve. So in the grid above, we've got our 5 criteria cards. On the top row, we've got criteria card A, criteria card B, and criteria card C. On the bottom row, we've got criteria card D, and finally criteria card E. Criteria card A takes a look at our last digit, the circle digit, and the Turing machine will let us know whether it's an even digit or an odd digit. Criteria card B will take a look at the 3-digit solution, and the Turing machine will let us know how many 3s there are. Are there no 3s? Is there a single 3? Perhaps 2, maybe even all 3 are 3. Criteria card C will take a look at our first and last digits, triangle and circle, and compare them. So should the value of triangle be less than circle? Should they be equal? Or should the value of triangle be greater than circle? Criteria card D again takes a look at our 3-digit solution, except this time it'll let us know how many evens there are. Are there no evens? Is there a single even? Perhaps 2, maybe even all 3 are even. And finally, criteria card E will take a look at our first 2 digits, triangle and square, add them up, and compare the sum to the number 6. So should the sum be less than 6? Should it be equal to 6? Or should the sum be greater than 6? And remember, the objective of today's puzzle is to find that unique 3-digit code that abides by all of the 5 criteria cards we just described. And we're going to start off with an initial proposal of 314. So I think the first thing I'd like to test is criteria card A. Okay, so the Turing machine does not approve of my choice in circle. I did pick an even 4, but since the Turing machine does not agree with that, it's actually informing us that circle should actually be odd. So let's go ahead and type that up in our notes in section A. And we'll just simply say that circle is an odd digit. And since it is odd, let's go ahead and cross out the 2 evens. Okay, so the next thing I think I'd like to test is criteria card E. Okay, so the Turing machine does approve of my choice. I do have a 3 for triangle and a 1 for square. If I add them up, I get 4, and 4 is less than 6, and yes, the Turing machine approves of that. So yeah, it must be true that the sum of the first 2 digits, triangle and square, should actually be less than 6. So let's go ahead and type that up in our notes in section E. And we'll state that triangle plus square should be less than 6. And what can we say? Well, in order for the sum of the first 2 digits to be less than 6, I don't believe either of them could be a 5. And that's because when you add a 5 to even the smallest of 1, that's already equal to 6. And of course, if you pick anything larger than 1, it'll be greater than 6. So yeah, so we can definitely exclude 5s from either triangle or square. Okay. What else? Well, I'm always interested in how criteria card B and D play off of each other, inquiring about the number of 3s versus the number of evens. I think it's safe to say that you can't have 3 3s, because if you did have 3 3s, then you would know that you'd have 0 evens, making this criteria card irrelevant. And similarly, if you knew there were 3 evens, then you would know that there would be no threes again, and this time making criteria card B irrelevant. So we know that at least we can't have three threes or three evens, but some combination may work out. So even though we've already established that, let's go ahead and I think I still would like to test criteria card C. Okay, so in this case, the Turing Machine does approve of my choice in triangle and circle. Notice that I do have a triangle value of 3 and a circle value of 4. And in the proposal, 3 is less than 4. And since the Turing Machine approves of that, we can say that, yes, definitely triangle should be less than circle. So let's go ahead and type that up in our notes in section C. And that is that triangle should indeed be less than circle. And let's see if we can see if there are any digits we can cross out. Well, we definitely want triangle to be as small as possible. So let's see. I think the only thing we can cross out is circle 1. Because if circle were 1, there's nothing smaller for triangle to be. So yeah, I think we can cross out the 1. But that might be about it. Because 3, yes, it is bigger than 1 and 2. And 5 is obviously bigger than everything. So I think that's about it. Okay. Well, we are done with this round. We did complete our 3 Turing tests. We're now going into the phase where we'll be discussing how to construct a good second round proposal. So just as a reminder, we did not query how many threes there might be in our solution, and we also did not query how many evens there are in our solution. And the other 3 criteria cards, for all intents and purposes, are well established. There's no need to retest them. So let's see. We are looking. I'm just curious. I wonder if criteria card D might inform us of having 2 evens, possibly. And if that were the case, then we'd know it would be a 2-2. And then whether there's a 3 or not, right? The only options now for circle is to be that odd digit, and it's between 3 and 5. That's likely. I guess, you could have maybe some possible solutions that could have all odds. So it'd probably be a mixture of 1s and 3s. But the question is, how would you order? Yeah, so this is interesting. Yeah, going back to criteria card C, we have established that triangle has to be smaller. So that's interesting. Perhaps could you have maybe 1 even and 1 3? But then how would you, maybe there are no 3s? Well, no. I think that would make it a lot tougher to figure out. If there are no 3s, then the 5 is bigger than everything. So I don't think that would help. Perhaps maybe there is just a single 3 and maybe 1 even. So how would we do that? So yeah, I think I'm going to go with that possibility where it's going to be 2 evens and it's going to be 2-2, and I'm going to say that there are no 3s. So let's go with 2-2-5. And just to double check, yes, that 3rd digit, that circle digit, is odd. our first digit 2 is smaller than 5, and yes, the sum of the first two digits is less than 6. Okay, so I think the first thing I'd like to test is criteria card D. Let's see how many evens there are. Okay, so yes, it is true that there are 2 evens. So let's go ahead and type that up in our notes, and that's in section D, and we'll state that the solution has 2 evens. And since we've established that circle is in fact odd, that means that triangle and square have to be even. So let's go ahead and cross out the remaining odds in both triangle and square. So that would mean that we'd cross out the 1, the 3, and the 5 in each in triangle and square. And so what remains are obviously the 2 evens, 2s and 4s. And I think it might be safe to deduce that the 2 digits in triangle and square both have to be 2, because any other combination, even a single 2 and a single 4 or 2 4s, those would give us sums that are greater than 6. So yeah, I think it's safe to cross out the 4s as well. Okay, so it does look like triangle and square are 2. Now we just have to test criteria card B. Okay, and the Turing Machine approves of the absence of a 3 in our solution, signifying that, yes, there should be 0 3s or no 3s in our solution. So let's go ahead and type that up, and we'll say that the solution has no 3-digit. And so let's go ahead and cross out the 3. And yes, it looks like our solution is 225. Okay. Well, let's go verify. And let's see if it's true that the solution should be 225. Okay, fantastic. Well, how did we do versus the Turing Machine? Well, it is a 5 criteria card puzzle, and we tested exactly 5 tests. No repeats, so that's great. And it looks like the only incorrect answer was A. And we did do ACE in the first round. So let's go ahead and type that up. So A was incorrect, and then we did C and E in the first, and then in the second round, both B and D were correct. And so, wow, we beat the Turing Machine by 2 questions. Well, in this case, I think we were just kind of lucky to have sort of figured out that, yes, there are 2 evens in our solution. Just when I was looking above, it could have gone either way with maybe just a single even, but I just focused on, what if, perchance, could we have just 2 evens, and obviously they'd have to be the smaller of the 2. So trying to eliminate as many possibilities, that helps out sometimes. Well, what about you? How did you solve it? Did you pick different criteria cards using different proposals? And did you discover anything interesting that you'd like to share? Add those thoughts to the comments. If you liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. Well, until next time, have a great one.